What's going on, YouTube? This your boy Romeo Trading back again for another video. Today we're going to jump into how we made $950 in 6 minutes. I want to start a new series called Inside the Mind of a Day Trader. So I'll be going over a lot of my day trades and stuff like that in a video like this. Before we jump into it, special shout out to my 56 subscribers. We're moving up. I appreciate you guys for checking out and enjoying the content. Hopefully you guys stick around and help further support the channel. Let's jump right into it. All right, so the ticker for today was BNGO. I've been saying BINGO all day, but BNGO. This was a this was a gapper this morning. Pretty much put in a nice run yesterday. I'm gonna pull up the daily. And we ain't gonna talk about how this thing done ran all the way to $9, so it done pretty much ran a whole dollar today. You know, it basically had a daily trigger there after that red bar, gapped up, kind of tested the dollar area, pulled back, still closed kind of bullish, gapped up again, small gap up from the close. Pushed up again, big volume, taking it over $1. And then we have another gap up here in the $2 area. So I want to go over my trade today. The reason why we took this trade, even though it was kind of up, you know, a couple of days here, we did get a nice green bar under some big volume. We did get a narrow range resting bar under some light volume here. And then we had a nice gap up to test this $1 area. So what I like about this is the strength going forward. So after this, you got a nice gap up the next day that pushed it over $1 pretty good. And then we gapping up for a third day in a row. So to me, this would be probably the last day that it puts in, you know, big volume before it starts to rest, just like we had a resting day here. So I expect this stock here to kind of rest after today, if not maybe pull back slightly. Probably not push over $3. We probably still need to retest this dollar area. Like I say, this kind of volume on this kind of bar will be kind of considered ending volume, but you know, we you know, you never know. Just look how extended that is without a pullback. You know, even here we had a nice resting bar before we pushed up 3 bars straight, and we basically, the range for the day was basically $1. So we basically did more than enough to make some good profits today. But let's jump into actually what I saw and what I was breaking down as I was about to take this trade. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's back it up here. So this is before the market open. Okay, this is roughly closing at the 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock area. You pretty much had a strong day yesterday. Kind of rested here at this 175 area this morning. Kind of gapped up, pushed up to this 250 area. And then we kind of put in 3 resting hours. So that's good. We got moving averages under all this resting. Got the 20 and the 50. This is the 60-minute chart, by the way. Up under all this resting area. So that's good. So that means we can definitely look for a position over this 195 area. Now, I didn't exactly see this trade until the bulls had already took out this $2 area. So I was kind of late to the party. By the time I see this and actually drilled down to this 60-minute chart, it was already too late. So 8 o'clock come 9 o'clock, that's how it was looking. And then when the market opened, we pretty much pushed over to, and we was kind of holding this $2 area. So with me seeing this break over this pivot high for the 60-minute, we broke over this pivot high. We knew we had room at least to 240, because that was the last pivot based on the prior high in the pre-market. So we know we knew we at least had it to 240. Okay, so we're inside this first hour bar. So I'm gonna drill down to the 15-minute here. The 15-minute, that's how the first 15 minutes ended. So I'm gonna drill down to the 60-minute. I mean to the 5-minute. So in that first 15 minutes, we had that bar there. You guys look at this 5 minute here. So we had a lot of green here, not much rest. Green pushing up, challenged that 20 period on the 5 minute. Kind of got over that 20 period on the 5 minute. Big volume here. Almost 2 million shares, taking it up over 190, up to that 50 period. So that's interesting. After all this green, you got to have some rest. You know, you got to, for a bigger move up, you got to have some profit taking. People take profits very fast. So it's kind of expected. So the next bar we got with this huge sell setup here, you know, buyers pushed it all the way up, sellers brought it all the way back down. What was interesting about this was the next bar. So basically after all these, probably all these buyers here took profit up here, a lot more buyers stepped back up to challenge this shakeout here. This huge red top and tail. We're still inside the first 15-minute bar, and we're still inside the 60-minute bar. So this is where I decided to make my move, because we had a higher high here that was rejected on the 5 minute. We had another strong push up green back over that 50 period on the 5 minute. So my bias definitely was going to be the 5 minute chart. You could have got in here if you was trading solely on the 60-minute chart. You could have got in 195 by, let's see here. The high was 195, the close was 170. So you could have had a 25-cent stop taking this pivot high of the 60-minute. Because that would have made a nice takeout bar, and you would have already made your profits on that. But like I said, we missed that entry. I couldn't get it at 195 because by the time I saw it, it was already too late. We was already bouncing back up by the time I actually dripped down enough to see it. So the 5 minute entry was 215 by 205. Anybody that followed my channel know I love getting in after red bars. Just like this 60-minute red bar here would have been very potent for me to get in, but I missed it. You know, so I'm not going to chase this bar. I'm going to just wait for the next pattern. Because as a good uptrend, there should always be rest in a good uptrend. So that's what I was looking for. So my entry was 215 by 205. That's a 10-cent stop. We got 5,000 shares of this. We're still in the, okay, now we're moving on to the second 15 minutes. This is the first 15. And you see what had happened. We're still in the same 60-minute chart. This is what happened in that whole 15-minute period. Oh, excuse me. So let me drill down on the 5 minute. We triggered 215. I had a stop limit order, 5,000 shares at 215. I had a stop at 205. Anybody that's followed my channel knows that over this green bar, we don't want to see it playing around down here. We want it to take off. And that's basically what it did. Them 5 minutes, it ran right up to 215. Really at 220 and kind of rested here in this area. That's what you want to see. You want to see the bull stepping up. That shows a true uptrend. Got higher highs here. So we want, like I say, we put in a nice doji resting bar. We want these bulls to take out this high. We want them to step up. So that's what they did. So moving on to the next 5 minute bar, we hit our target. It was supposed to be $1,000 winner, but for some reason I was a penny off of my my target. So it's supposed to be 235, but it was 234. But no worries there. So 215, 205, 1 to 1 would have been 10 cents, would have been 225. So this is a 5 minute chart. And then another 10 cent would have been 2 to 1, would have took it up to 235. So I was a penny off, so I made $9.50. Have the P&L here to prove it. Now, this is my account. I got my, my privacy and stuff on, but this is my account. You guys know I do this. So let's take a look at it just going further. The reason why I knew this was kind of the end and this was kind of the limit, because we talked about 240 being the pivot high. So we know we had room up here. We just didn't know how close we was going to get. Look at that on the 60 minute, 240, exactly. It ain't no mistake here. We was already out. You know, we put in a bracket order in the system. We was already out before we got to 240. So I wasn't going to chance missing out on my profits by trying to get 240 exactly. I didn't want to be greedy. Like I say, I even got a penny under my actual target of 235 because you just never know. So let's look at the next 5-minute bar. We had big volume here. See, this is what I was waiting for, that volume spike. Because normally after a nice volume spike, you have a trend change. See, after this volume spike here from the start of the market, this could have easily just dropped, but it didn't. That just showed you what side the volume was on. Like I said, you had a follow-up bar here. So this volume here was for the bulls. Now you got this volume here is for the sellers. So this is basically beginning volume. Well, it looks like ending volume for this uptrend. It looks like ending volume. But like I say, that follow-up bar lets you know that the bulls were in control. So this is basically everybody that probably bought in yesterday and some people that were just quickly taking profits. So you got this bar here from the 5-minute. And that's how your 15 minutes starting to look. So, you know, any right-minded, you know, trader would probably think, hey, this is probably about to, you know, have a nice pullback. Let's see what happens next. Pulls back again. We're at the 10-minute mark. So that's how this bar ended up closing. 5, 10, 15, right there, bam. Okay, so this is the next 15-minute mark. So we got a nice bounce in this 205 area. See, when you're doing trading, you got to have targets. You know, you can get in like on a 5-minute chart, you got to take your targets because they came back and bounced in this area. We had our stop loss in this area. We would have been out $500. If we didn't take our profits here under this big volume, if we didn't take our profits here, we would have lost. That simple. Because this was the support area. So anytime you break out of a support area, you got to come back and retest it. So you might not be able to clearly see that here on the 15-minute or on the 60-minute. Eventually, that's what, you know, we did. But like I say, even the 60-minute needs rest. It ran up and it pulled back. Kind of retested this area here and ran up some more. So that's at the 10 o'clock. Let me see, 10 o'clock here. So that's basically what it did. This little small tail here on the 60-minute was this 5-minute pullback. Right after 10 o'clock closed, it had a nice pullback to retest this 205 area. It didn't hit 2. So that just further lets you know that there's strength there. Somebody was supporting this thing strong at 205. Our risk to reward was just the 215 to buy 205. Because once it triggered this, we didn't want it to come back until we hit target. So that's what it did. Let's move on to the next 15 minutes. By the way, we're already out of this. We're already out of this trade. We was out of this trade here. So I was saying 6 minutes we was out. But let's just go over what, you know, what's been happening so far. So I can move up with it. Let me see. Let me get you to 11. Let's just talk about what happened up to 11 o'clock. So basically the bull's been in control. You look at the 60-minute, the 60-minute looks good. If you're in here, you're good. You got a 25-cent stop. Let me see where you at. 215 would have been what, the first target, I think. 215 would have been the first target. But hold on one second. Y'all know how I am with my math. Yeah, so 215 would have been the first target. No. 220 would have been the first target. Then 240 would have been the next target. So yeah, you would have got your 2 to 1 out of that as well. But these are all patterns. You could have took a 60-minute breakout above this red bar, which you guys know is my favorite. You know, you could have got in at a smaller time frame. So let's see what happens here. We pull back to support on the 5-minute. We could have possibly looked to get back in this thing, but we was done. Pull back to the 205 area, retested that area, had another bounce, right? 3 bars up on the 5-minute. Small pullback here on the 5-minute as well. Put in a higher high. So you basically took the stairs, and now you're over 210, right? So that's a higher high, kind of a wedge. You got this little wedge area here. So we're over the moving average. We're over the 20. We're over the 50-minute moving average. So we're either going to drop or we're going to keep going higher. And that's pretty much what we did. Let's get to 12. We get to 12 on all charts. Okay. So just say you got in at this 15. Oh man, even a more beautiful entry, but we're not getting in pre-market. That's a real risky game getting in pre-market. It's less control. So just be careful if you got in here on the 15-minute pre-market. Because if you got in there, your risk to reward was, let me see here. The high was 175. The close was 170. You had a 5-cent stop. And you could have rolled this thing all the way to $3. Beautiful, beautiful. I didn't get that aggressive pre-market, but like I said, that's a beautiful, beautiful entry there on the 15-minute. But let's drill back down to the 5. We ran up to this 240 area, put in a higher low, a lower high, but then we put in a higher low as well. So like I say, that's a wedge. We broke out of the wedge. Red bar, nice little green dojis. That would be considered a buy setup. Triggered, retested this 240 area, pull back again. If you wanted to take the high of this bar, 245, that would have been another entry as well, with your stop down here at 225. So that would have been a 20-cent stop. 245 by 225, give it room to trigger. You don't want it to hit 243, excuse me, and pull back. You want it to break that 245 area nice and good. And like I say, you could have watched it, tagged you in there, kind of rested on this 240 area, building up support here, and then we broke out all the way up to 280. Beautiful. Could have been some more money. If we would have stayed in it, we couldn't have stayed in. We would have had to take profits here because our stop loss, we would have got tagged on our stop loss. Even though it ultimately went higher, that was our idea for the first 5 minutes of the day. We didn't know it was going to do this for the rest of the day. We didn't know that. It could have just tanked after this. We don't know that. After this volume here, we didn't know what it was going to do. The only thing is, the 60-minute looked great because we just had this little bottoming tail here. So it didn't take out these this low. Following the 60-minute, it would have been great, but we would have had to give it a lot more room. We would have had to risk a lot more money to have it to go down this far on the 60. So we was doing a 5-minute trade. We had a 60-minute and a 15-minute bias, but our trade was on the 5-minute chart. Like I say, if I got in a little bit earlier, we could have took this high. We could have added here, just a small amount here, just to see what it was going to do. But ultimately, our main idea would have been on the 60-minute. So, it's definitely good to, understand, your time frames that you're going to be trading on, because they're very important. Like I said, I used the 60 and the 15-minute for a bias to get in on the 5-minute chart. So basically, when I got in here, this 60-minute chart was green. This was a green bar. So at the end of a green bar, I would like a resting bar. Anybody that follows me on my channel knows I like to see a little rest in the middle of a, if I'm gonna take a buy setup, if I'm gonna follow up on this, I'm gonna need a green bar. I'm gonna need a red bar. So that's what we did. Like I said, ran up pretty good. 15-minute is freaking extraordinary. Could have definitely got in over this 15-minute high here. 225 by 215. The close was 214, so I would have made it even 215. And we triggered and ran. So it's like I said, another resting bar that you could have easily took profits on, and you could have got back in and rolled it back up. You're over the moving averages on all time frames. You're bullish on all time frames. Huge volume here, which was kind of concerned, but guess what? Bull stepped up again. Put in a higher high on this. I'm looking at the 15-minute. Put in a higher high on this 15-minute bar and a higher low. So we're still in an uptrend. This just shows that we're resting. So like I said, this would have been a great setup. I've tried, for anybody that's wondering, I don't trade 1-minute charts. I just can't do it. It's just too much for my brain to handle. I don't like making decisions that fast. See, I got 5 minutes to make a decision on this. 5 minutes. So that's 5 minutes is perfect enough time for me to look at what to analyze what I'm seeing and to make a decision. 5 minutes. I can do that. 1 minute, too much going on in my brain. I can't handle 1 minute. So I know what works for me and I know what doesn't. But that was pretty much inside the mind of a day trader. As you guys see, once you get to the higher time frames, you see that we got a major rest in here on the 15-minute. Nice wide range red bar taking out lows. We're starting to take out lows. Once you start taking out previous lows, and with nice full red bars like this, it's probably gonna rest. You're gonna see it drop up under the 20 period on the lower time frames. And like I say, trying to find support, you're gonna have to drill up. We know we got room down here to 220 to bounce on the 15. And then we got room down to 170 on the 60-minute. So, as your time frames increase, you'll know where true support is. And we also know we took out a pivot here at 210. And you see that's about where the 15-minute is. So it's, that kind of gives you a timeline. On intraday trading, well, on all trading, I use 20-minute with the 20 SMA, the 50 SMA, and the 200 SMA. Those time frames work for every scenario. For me, for my trading style, they work for all my scenarios. And that's what I use. Now here, if we look at the 60-minute chart, we see we got a nice uptick in volume here, up here in the $3 area. So what do you expect? Possible pullback, possible resting bar. We got resting bar. With 3 hours up, we've been green for 3 hours. We got to rest at some points. We got to take profits. We got to lay off the buy-in. You can't buy for 3 hours. Be 3 hours straight and not rest, not take a break, unless your pockets are just that deep. But hey, But like I said, we got that volume spike, and then we got a resting bar, and that's pretty much what we're seeing on all time frames. Like I say, we got a nice volume spike here. And as it reflect, we got a red bar kind of engulfing that last green bar. So buyers are tired. We had a small resting bar here. We had a nice wide green bar here. So that was the expectation. You expecting it to rest. We'll run up here on the 5-minute. Oh. Never mind. It's only 12:30, so that's all the data we got right now on the 5-minute. So yeah, we're currently resting. Move up here on the So that's what we're doing right now. The next idea would be to wait for a pattern. So you on the 60-minute, you got at least down to 210. So you got to be, like I said, this was a pivot. Broke out of here, put in this high at 240. So we're probably gonna break 240. To retest maybe 220 area, maybe. We should maybe bounce in this area. 220 area on the 15-minute will be a good area to look to re-enter. If it does pull back that far, it looks like it want to hold 250. So if it does hold 250, you'll know that that's a good support line. Be careful buying into this 60-minute red bar. We still got 30 minutes left. My trading style, I buy only like I wouldn't have took this trade if this 60-minute wasn't green. I wouldn't have took this trade if the 15-minute wasn't green. So be careful so that way you're not on the wrong side of the trend. I wouldn't buy as long as this bar is red. So at least if you're gonna buy this bar, the high of this bar is 270. So I would have a stop order at 270. Just in case the bulls push this up in the next 30 minutes and decided to make a higher move. Other than that, me personally, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't touch it under 270 right now because it's resting. 3 hours up, it's resting right now. We still got 30 minutes left. So at 1 o'clock, once this bar closes, we'll know if we have a pattern or not. If this bar closes green and puts in a shallow new high, then it probably still needs some more rest. If this bar pushes up maybe to 260, we may have a 10-cent entry over 270. But we really want this to kind of come back, give people time to get back in, get some shares. You know, we don't want it to just run straight up. You know, it has to rest. Moving averages are kind of getting far away. Like I said, we're resting on the 5-minute, 15 minutes resting. You got red, 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 red. So after this bar closes, you still got one more bar. So after this bar, you could possibly anticipate an entry depending on how this bar closes. But we still got room down here to 220 to bounce on the 15-minute. So 15-minute always is going to trump this. So you got your 5-minute support is going to be at the 50. So that's going to let you know if the trend's over on the 5-minute. But we still can have a higher time frame entry as well. So it's multiple time frame analysis. You know, but I don't know if you guys want to sit here for the rest of the video and see what's going to happen for the rest of the day, or, you know, if you guys can just check out my content. In the meantime, if you guys are trading this particular stock, hopefully this information is helpful to you going forward. Looking at it right now, it looks like we're trying to get bullish. I still wouldn't touch it until after this bar closes. Like I say, we're still red. We could have a nice bullish push, but we have to get over 270, turn back green on the hour. So just be mindful of that. Like I said, we do have a smaller time frame entry. Just kind of be, you know, kind of be cautious. You never know. You could get in over this high if you want to be aggressive over 265. That's pretty aggressive. Like I said, it seems like it's just resting at this 240 area. It seems like it may rest here. Nice support area, broke out of this pivot, maybe retesting this pivot. You know, we'll see as the day goes on. We can't tell the future. You know, how much money would we make if we could? Just think about it. But thank you guys for tuning in to an episode of Inside the Mind of a Day Trader. I hope this helps you guys going forward in the future. I plan on keep putting out more content every day. You guys have a great one.